3, 2, 1.
Good morning, good afternoon to the world at large. Welcome, Claudio and I are thrilled to be here with you today to share with you something that we are very passionate about, which is showing up on camera. You know, ever since Skype came out with video back, I don't even remember the year. Do you remember, Claudio, what year Skype added video?
Sorry, go ahead. I was lost in the comments right now.
No problem. No problem. Anyway, when Skype added video, all of a sudden we could now see people around the world, and we were able to just start creating sort of our own feeling and TV program or TV appearance and whatnot. And here today, after 2 solid years of people showing up on camera, we're still seeing very, very basic mistakes that people are making. So today, what we're going to do for all of you watching is give you some real easy, simple to implement things that you can do right now to show up on camera with more impact. Claudio, say hello.
Hi, everybody. It is such a real pleasure. And your comment about Skype, how long has it been, Nathan? It's been 2003, 2004, something like that. We used it extensively during our U3 days. And we have come such a long way with, the technology that we are using. To me, it's actually really amazing how today we can all set up our home studios and look fairly professional out there. And of course, that's the subject of this live stream here today, is to share our 3 top tips on how can you look and sound good. Now, we are going to make this more of a fireside chat, really relaxed kind of discussion between Nathan and me, because we both help each other raising the bar almost on a weekly base, sometimes even daily. For example, yesterday we spent more than an hour and I have shown Nathan a trick that I think you will have so much fun in your presentations going forward with. So we just want to shoot the breeze a little bit here today. And while we do that, we will come back over and over again to 3 main things that you can do to improve your on-camera presence.
And before we get into that detail, I want everybody to realize or just remember that everybody's situation is different. And while I may have blown out my whole studio here into a full bedroom with a big green screen and whatnot, you can get away with a very small space, such as Claudio is working in a very small space because he's more of a minimalist and doesn't need all of that other stuff out there. And I respect everybody's situation, not only from a space standpoint, but also from a money standpoint. Not everybody has a ton of money to spend on some of the equipment that you might need if you really want to look like you're on TV. But there's a big but here. Before this live stream is over, I promise you, you will have 3 ways that you can up your presence on camera, literally without spending money. Well, maybe $5 or $10, but not much more than that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you hit the nail on its head about my personality. I am a minimalist, and I'm a proud minimalist. I always try to get maximum results with minimum effort. I think that's something that I have worked on a lot. And today, the ultimate end result to me is very similar whether you're looking at Nathan's image or whether you're looking at my image. But again, as Nathan has mentioned, the setup is quite different. I have some space limitations. I'm probably operating in about 4 to 5 square meters. 2 by 2, no more, including this green screen behind me. Nathan, on the other side, well, you've set up a beautiful studio. Maybe you want to share that, Nathan.
I'd be happy to. I'll show you the angle from, how about this side here? Oh, wait, I can't share. Oh, yes, I can. I just
You
have to change
can.
my, yep,
Oops.
I got to change my camera here in, no problem. Yeah, that's okay that people see me standing in front of the green screen.
Yeah, and I
So
gotta get. I'm gonna give you
this is what it look like
a
from
background.
behind. That's all right. Take your time. We're
No,
learning.
no.
Oh, there we go. So this is what my
Here we go.
office looks like from behind. I have a standing desk here that has you all on this side. I usually have my PowerPoints or my slides on the left, and I have my camera straight in front of me. So yeah, I have a whole room that I'm working with here. Let me show you a different angle here, because I have a big house. So I've got all this room behind me to play with and work with. Now, this might not be everybody's situation, of course, and that's really what we're here to make sure that you understand, that we are not expecting you to go out and spend thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars to up your game when it comes to showing up on camera.
That's
Let me
right.
get with the
Yeah,
first one.
that's right. That's right. So Nathan, we had a discussion early in 2020 when all this COVID thing just started to happen. And
Mhm.
we said, we'll probably be operating from our homes for quite a while. I think it's time to up our game a little bit. So I want to quickly show you how I looked. And by the way, we just came from a pitch in the zone session. And if you are looking at the difference between pitch in the zone, the first couple ones, I looked like this. I had this ugly bookshelf next to me. It wasn't even tidy. I never even realized that you can see my mail there opened, and it just looked messy. And I think we can all agree, if you're looking at this image and then you're comparing it to this image, that there is a huge, huge difference in how the speaker is perceived by the audience. And because you know that, your confidence definitely goes up. I have usually not had big problems speaking to other people, but I noticed a clear, clear difference in my own confidence now that I have a setup that I rely on and that makes me look and sound pretty good. This is how Nathan looked like in our first pitch in the zone. Uh, no green screen yet. What were you
Nope.
using there,
That was
Nathan?
that was actually a real backdrop that they use in
Hmm.
photography studios,
Yeah.
where it had a special threading in it that reflected the light, so it looked sort of more real. I used to use a brick back wall that people thought was real, and then I would touch it like the Matrix.
Yeah, okay. And what's that light next to you on that screen there? Is that from, did that bleed through or did that reflect from the front?
That was sunlight coming in from my left window.
Sunlight. All right. And so this is how Nathan looks today in our meetings. Again, a huge, huge, huge difference to how we started out. So, my question to you, Nathan, is once you realized and said, okay, this is going to take a longer while, I know you did step by step by step, you improved. What was the very first thing that you upped your game a little bit?
That's an easy one. Sound. Sound. That's the first. You want to
Sound.
make sure your sound quality is the best it can be, because if the video's not good, it doesn't matter. People will still be able to hear you clearly and they'll hear your voice. But if the sound quality is not good, and it's, people tune out, they don't stay captivated, they don't stay tuned in as well as you'd like them to. So let's talk about what you all can do to up your sound quality without spending a lot of money. So there's a couple of ways that I will suggest, and Claudio, feel free to jump in anytime. But first of all, let's make a distinction here: Mac versus PC. All right, if you're on a Mac, your built-in microphones and your built-in cameras generally are great. They're good. So long as you're not too far away from the microphone, they're pretty good. If you're on a PC, they're not good. I mean, unless you buy a very recent high def camera built in, they're not good. And the microphone, not so good. So, one of the simplest things you can do on a PC when you're on Zoom or Teams calls is you could plug in your headset that you use with your phone or any headset, not for the earpieces, but just for the microphone. And then you drag that microphone over nearby you. It doesn't even have to be in the picture. Set it down, and then you tell Zoom that your microphone is that headset, but your speakers are not the headset, they're your actual speakers. So you can tell Zoom and Teams where to put your audio in and out. And that's one of the simplest things. You don't have to spend any money because you already have a headset. Or maybe connect your Bluetooth headset to your computer and use that as the microphone only and direct all the sound to your speakers if you wanted to.
Hmm. Now, before you made these changes, were you relying purely on your computer's microphone originally?
I was. Yes, I
Okay.
was.
And so, what was the first step that you took to upgrade your audio?
Well, I actually went out and bought a Yeti microphone.
Hmm.
I spent about $110 on it because I figured it's something that I would be using for a long time, and it had a pretty good rating and reputation. And yeah, I know a lot. $100 or more for a microphone is maybe a bucket of money. But as soon as I plug that microphone in, and there's no software that comes with it either, you just plug it into the USB, and boom, you're now talking over a high quality microphone. And that's where I started. I've since upgraded 2 times since then because I'm always looking for that
Hmm.
edge, but you
Hmm.
have to spend a little bit more money if you want to get a better quality than a Yeti. A Yeti, from an audiophile friend of mine, a Yeti is about an 8 out of 10 in terms of the quality you're getting online. For most of us,
Hmm.
that's just fine. Anything,
Hmm.
and by the way, you don't need a Yeti. I only call out that particular brand because it's recognizable, but just about any microphone between 50 and 100 US dollars should give you about a 7.5 or 8 quality.
Yeah.
And each half point you go up is going to cost you probably 50 or $100.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So sound is so important. And again, your setup looks different than mine. My room that I'm using here, although I'm occupying only a little space in the room itself, the room is pretty big. And it has a marble floor, it has glass everywhere, and you can imagine it sounds a little bit like a cave. And the what I learned during that phase is that not only does the quality of your microphone make a big difference, but it's the distance that the microphone is away from your mouth. So the closer you can pull the microphone to your mouth, of course, the better it is, because then you're not getting this echoey or this cavey kind of quality in your audio. So for me, my first upgrade was to go to a clip-on mic because that allowed me to be very, very close, and I got a lot of that resonance from the room. I got that out, but again, the quality of those microphones, unless you go the pro quality, the ones that you're buying for your computer, the USB ones, they are okayish. I would say if you're going with the scales from 1 to 10, perhaps these lavalier microphones, the USB ones, they're somewhere at a 6 or 6.5, not much higher than that. And so, Nathan, today I think you are probably at 9.5 to even 10 out of 10. You are sounding superb, absolutely
Thank
great. But you said there were three steps to get here. So the first one is you changed to the Yeti, and what happened then? What did you do then?
It was, I'm always looking for ways to upgrade. And then this company, Elgato, came out with a new microphone called a Wave 3, which I thought, I'm going to just get this baby for two reasons. One is it had more smarts than the Yeti, and it came with a piece of software that let me take all of my audio inputs and direct where I want all of my audio outputs to go. So it made it easy for me to control my sound and use of sound. Then Shure, the company Shure, the very famous microphone company Shure, came out with a baby version of the microphone that all musicians use on stage, pretty much. And some of the higher end podcasters use this $250 or $300 microphone connected with the 3 plugs, that XLR, and it's really high quality stuff. And they came out with a baby version of that microphone that let you connect through USB. I had to get it. So I bought it, plugged it in, and my quality went from an 8 to an 8.5.
Yep.
Until Elgato came out with a small little box that let me connect this microphone to an XLR, the big high end, that XLR, where that gives you a totally new way of sounding on camera. And every microphone pretty much used in production and TV land is that kind of XLR if it's a wired mic. So that's what I'm using right now. I have I can show you a down picture of if you would like, I could show you a down picture of my desk if you'd like to see it, just so you get a sense for where the microphone is sitting here. Let's see, we're going to the Logitech and we'll go done. So you can see my microphone is literally, actually you can't see it. Sorry, there's a screen. I'm sorry, I'm going to change that back. Can't see it because I put a new monitor in my office here, and it's blocking the down camera. But let me bring up my microphone here. You can see it come right in. It's really just very, very, and you can even see what Claudio was saying before. When you put that microphone right next to your lips and just about kiss it, you really will sound like you're on the radio. And if you want to talk about captivating your audience, all of our voices can be amplified and really make a difference in how we sound. I don't particularly like to have my microphone in the window, so it's about 6 or 7 inches away from me. And I noticed that Rick has asked, what is the model? It's a Shure, SHURE, MV Michael Victor 7, MV7. It's not cheap. It's about a $200 microphone. And if you want to go to the best you can get out of it, you need a little box from Elgato, a little box that takes the XLR, because the real reason I bought this microphone is you can connect through USB out of the box. Out of the box, you get a better sound. But if you want to bump it even more, it can also connect to XLR. So it has both connectors. So you can upgrade when you want to upgrade without buying another microphone. And so Elgato sells this small little box that takes my microphone, XLR, and then it goes into USB. So I get the best quality I can get without spending over $1,000, which some people have done.
Very cool. Very cool. So there you have it. Sound. It's so important. It's massively important. As a matter of fact, wasn't this you, Nathan, that told me recently about this research that they did in a cinema by changing the sound quality and the image quality to see what gets on people's nerves more? And which one was it? Sound or image?
It wasn't me, but I would guess image.
Yeah. No, sound. People, they note, they notice immediately. As soon as the sound is a little bit off, they notice it. But if the picture isn't all that great,
Yeah.
it, for some reason, we have a much higher threshold there. So, and again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. My first lavalier, the clip-on that I bought, was somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm not kidding you, $10, $12, something like that. And it did the trick. It was okay. Again, step by step by step. So audio, it's really the number one thing. What do you consider the number two, Nathan, in terms of upping your game? What else can you do? Once you are happy and you sound good, uh, what's the next thing that you would recommend?
That's an easy one. We need to stop looking up people's noses and move your camera to a location where you can look straight into it, whether you're sitting or standing. I like standing when I'm presenting, but I can just press the button on the sit standing desk and go straight down. And when I sit down, I'm looking straight into the camera. So let's define this, because some of you are saying, well, my camera is built into my laptop and I can't use that while I'm blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's talk about integrated webcams versus external webcams and define the difference. So if you're using your laptop and you're using the little webcam that's built in, you don't need to spend any money to get it in line with your eyes. Just pile it up on some books. Literally, just pile it up on some books. That's what I did in the very early days before I had my sit-standing desk. I piled it up on some books, and then I bought one of those little stands that let you ratchet it up and put it wherever you want, so I could sit, stand, sit, stand. And by just getting it where you can look straight ahead, it will give you a different appearance and a better appearance, just like they do on TV or on the news. You never see somebody on the newscast looking down into the camera or up into the camera. They look straight out into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. And you might need an external keyboard if you need the keyboard to interact with your laptop while it's positioned out of reach from your hands.
Yes.
So that's the first thing, is just get it up to a position where you can look straight into it.
Exactly. Exactly. So these are very easy changes because you don't need to spend any money. We are not yet at upgrading your camera and going into the recommendations of what kind of other cameras and other video solutions that you could use, but simply having a properly set up camera. So, for example, I often, and I'm just going to use my close up here because of the background, but what I'm recommending to all of my clients is to pay attention to the rule of thirds. And I'm somewhat of a hobby photographer, so anybody that's interested in art is probably very familiar with this grid. It's the rule of thirds. And I recommend to have your eyes pretty much at the top line and the bottom of your neck at the bottom line to get that nice framed image, because if you go too close, it just feels unnatural. What you want to do is you want to get about the perspective that you would have when you talk to somebody across from the table. And if that is the case, usually you're looking at the other person, you're looking them in the eyes, and you do see about this range that we see here right now. If you go too close, we all know this from real life. It's not fun to talk with close talkers, to people that are so in your face that you go like, and you're taking a step back and they're taking a step forward and you're taking a step back. Well, online, you cannot change this with moving around physically. So I believe the angle of the camera and the framing is so vital. Yes, absolutely. Now, what else when it comes to the visual, when it comes to the camera? What other tips do you have? Let's say somebody has perhaps a bit an older laptop or notebook computer and the camera is just not good enough. What would you recommend if somebody is looking at leveling up their game on that side, perhaps with some kind of an external webcam or some other solution, Nathan?
Well, there's a little known secret out there. If you want to spend less than $10 to get one of the best webcam images you can give the world, I have news for you. Most people don't realize that they can take their smartphone
Yep.
or a generation older smartphone or 2 generation older smartphones.
Yep.
If you got a smartphone sitting in a drawer, take it out. It's got a 1080p camera in it and a really good microphone. And then you go to the iOS store, the Android store, and you download an actual application, $5 or $10, that literally turns your smartphone into a webcam. I'm not talking about dialing into the meeting on your smartphone as another audience member. I literally am saying your smartphone, the one you own right now and the one that you had that you probably either gave away or threw, it's in a, take it out. Get yourself a selfie stick. Put your smartphone on the selfie stick and position it right where you want to be looking. And if it's in front of your slides, you move it in front of your slides. If it's directly in front of you, like I'm doing now, you put it there. And that should give you really ultimate resolution because it's a 1080p camera and Zoom won't let you do more than that anyway. You'll have you'll have the little black bars on the side, but the quality of your image will be outstanding. So that's the cheapest, simplest way. And before I let that go, sometimes the microphone of that smartphone is close enough to you where you don't need yet another microphone. So you might get away with the microphone and a camera upgrade by simply turning your smartphone into a webcam.
Indeed, indeed. And this is actually exactly the step that I took. I went from my built-in camera. The quality wasn't that good. And my first upgrade was to a Logitech, like it was a C920 or 920C, something like that.
Wow.
Spent a little bit money on that thing, and I was totally disappointed actually with the quality when it came to processing the light. I got these walking bars behind me that you could see the frequency from the light somehow. And I wasn't able to take that out. And then we talked once, and you said to me, Nathan, hey, why don't you try your mobile phone for a moment and see how that works? Go to the App Store, or just simply look for Webcam app. Webcam app. There are different ones. You mentioned Elgato before. They do have an application called Epoch Cam. There is another application called Shoot that a lot of people are using.
Yep.
And that's what I did. And I used that for quite a while. And then at one point, I said, okay, let's move up a little bit more. And I did the same thing that you did previously, Nathan, and that was to attach a DSLR, or it can be a mirrorless camera. But this is really, the ultimate step going up. And if you're spending hours and hours and hours every day, then it might be worthwhile. But if not, the smartphone solution to me is the perfect one. I think Elgato software is like $8, and for $8 you're getting 1080p. Or if your camera, if you have a newer iPhone or Android phone, you actually might even be able to record yourself in 4K in a Zoom meeting. That might not make a difference. In this stream, for example, well, I'm streaming at 1080p right now, but I could go to 4K, and in that case, of course, it would make quite a difference. So that's number 2. Camera position on one side, but also the clarity of the image that you're able to get from the camera. What's number 3, Nathan?
Oh, just one more thing before we go to number 3, if it's all right. I didn't know that a DSLR could be used as a webcam
Oh, okay.
until I was using my smartphone and somebody said, you know that DSLRs can be a webcam. And I said, no, I didn't know that. So I want to make the point because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't all of a sudden wake up and everything was the way it is today.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
Claudio and I are alluding to, we are constantly looking for ways to amplify what we're doing here in front of a camera. So somebody said to me, you can use a DSLR. I said, no way. And so literally, I went downstairs, took out the DSLR that has been sitting in a closet for over 2 years. And I took it out. And sure enough, because it does video recording, all I needed to do was buy a little dongle from
Mm-hmm.
Elgato. And I get no affiliate fees by buying your stuff at Elgato. I'm just hooked on their product. A little dongle that converted my HDMI out of the camera into USB. Because if you just take your DSLR USB out, you will not get 1080p. You probably
Mm-hmm.
get something less than 720. So if you have a DSLR, as my message, check out the Elgato website because they have a complete list of all of the DSLRs that they support. You can buy a cheaper version of that dongle if you want to, but at least the Elgato website can tell you whether or not the DSLR you already own can be used. So
Yeah.
now we're ready to move on to the third one, which is lighting. You want to take it?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. I'm just gonna pull up here a comment from Massimo very briefly. He's using a $10 USB-C to HDMI adapter to connect HDMI out. So you don't have to spend all that money on a 4K kind of HDMI dongle. There are less expensive solutions out there, of course. Yet when you listen around, and I believe if you do use a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you are already invested so much that the price that it takes to get a proper, a really solid 4K HDMI solution is probably the right thing to do. So I'm using the same thing as Nathan. I'm using an Elgato Camlink 4K. And it was actually a funny story when I bought this camera, this new DSLR that I bought. I mentioned before, I'm kind of like a little bit of a hobby photographer, and I had a DSLR that was getting a little bit up there in age. It was about 15 years old, which in the world of high tech is a long time. And so I went to a camera store here, and we are not a high tech place around here. You know, the stores, they just have the regular fare. But I still asked, and said, have you ever heard of Elgato? They have this product called a Camlink. And the first person, they looked at me and go like, yeah, I do. And a friend of mine, I think he's selling them. Let me call him. So he called him from the store and it's like, do you have any in stock? And this guy's like, no, I don't. They are selling like hotcakes right now because, of course, anybody who is going up to the DSLR level is looking for some kind of an HDMI to USB-C solution. And he was calling another person, that one also out of luck. And then some other staff member came up and said, I just heard Elgato. What are you looking for? The Camlink 4K? And I said, yes. And she walks with me to a window and is like, look, we still have one here. And I was like, okay, in that case, I was meant to get my hands on that one. I got the last one. And my image quality ever since has really improved. Absolutely, yes. So
Now
the third one, yeah,
all the technology is built into that dongle, so you don't need any software. Let's just plug it in.
absolutely. No software. You just plug it in and truly plug and play. And I'm very happy. I have never tried the 4K streaming. At one point, we are going to do that as well, just to see the difference. And but when those days come, I kind of dread those days a little bit, because all of a sudden I need to shave on a daily basis, because everybody will be seeing every single hair and every,
Mhm.
blemish that you have on your skin. So I'm not
Yep.
sure if the trend is actually going in the right direction here. But no, I'm just kidding, of course. But light. You
Yeah.
were talking briefly about lighting, and to me, that again, as a photographer, to me the light is also such a important aspect. If you think about the word, even photography, photo, light, graphy, writing or drawing, or so what you do in photography is really you paint with light, if you want. So you capture light in a special way. If you think about the great legends like uh, uh, and Ansel Adams, going up into the mountains of Colorado and sitting there for 3-4 hours just to wait until the light hits that mountain so perfectly that he's creating a masterpiece. And so light is a very, very important part. What does that mean, Nathan? Do we have to spend hundreds of dollars to get all these studio lights around us and sweat and make our room hot? Or are there also solutions that we can use that do not cost an arm and a leg, but will immediately amplify our image quality?
Sure is. Lighting is a bit of art and science.
Mm-hmm.
As Claudio just so eloquently pointed out, certain lighting conditions will make you look awesome versus other lighting conditions. A bluer light might make you look different than a softer colored light. And so, without going too far, just so that you know, I've been through a number of machinations with lighting. Originally, I thought I had to buy a 3-point lighting system, which I did. I bought a 3-point one for this blah 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 blah. Typical 3-point lighting. I got so hot every time I stood in front of the lights. I would sweat like a pig. So even LED lights, for some reason, with all of this, and I had to creep underneath it to get to my camera. I was like, so I tossed all of that out and went LED lights,
Mm-hmm.
and made it much simpler on me by just going and buying Wi-Fi bulbs at the store. Home
Mm-hmm.
Depot, Lowe's, any of
Mm-hmm.
these stores, any
Mm-hmm.
of these Wi-Fi bulbs that you can buy that plug straight into my Wi-Fi. So that way
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to have yet another hub. I don't want more stuff like you. I don't like all of this stuff. So I bought a bunch of bulbs. I bought a they cost about 12. Now they're down to about $10 a bulb, even less. You can buy four, really inexpensive. I bought really inexpensive lighting attachments that you use in a garage. I took parchment paper from the kitchen to cover it up and dim it down, cover up that hotness of it. And then there's an application that comes with it on your smartphone that I can dial in the left light a little brighter than the right light, and I can turn everything on and off right on my smartphone, and it's a joy. Each of those bulbs, $10 a piece. The fixtures to plug them in, about $8 US each.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick with that is I used to have one light facing directly in my face. And if you look at high resolution images of people, if you look closely at their eye, you can see in their eye exactly what lighting they have set up. But
Mm-hmm.
in this case, what I've done since is I took a page out of a lighting expert's book. I have two lights now, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not in line with my eyes. So that's one of
That's
the
it.
reasons you're not seeing a lot of reflection in my glasses. Plus, I have a non reflective coating on my glasses. So if
Exactly.
you are wearing glasses and you don't want to see this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
then get a non reflective coating so it's a little less obvious that the lights. And then the lights are each at a 45-degree angle above my eye line. So
So
that way, if I turn left and right, you're not seeing the reflection in my glasses. So that's about all you really need. And then
correct.
if you want to go further, I have a hair light. I have a light behind me that's reflecting off the white ceiling so that I get a little bit of a nice look behind my hair. I don't have to
Sure.
control it right in front of me, but if I shut that off, you would see a difference in how, I mean, it's like portrait lighting in a way,
Yeah.
and you just dial it in exactly the way you want to look. Not that expensive.
Absolutely. Yep. 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 Yep.
Oh, one more
Uh,
thing, Claudio. When I
yeah.
travel, I just use this. I just travel with this little LED light that I can stick right in front of me because I often
Hmm.
get into closets in these places that I'm visiting, and there's a light just straight up, and I don't want to look like an angel. So I
That's right.
just carry this little light with me, and I stick it on my laptop, and it lights up my face.
Yep.
15 bucks, 20 bucks.
Yep. And Patrick just also left a comment in the chat box. Patrick and I, we spent a little bit time every month to just get together a little bit and see how we are doing in life. And Patrick was utterly impressed recently on a call with my setup. So I showed him what exactly I'm using, and he just put in now a comment because his light was not ideal at all, that he bought a ring light, and those are also very, very good. Sometimes you can mount them around the lens somehow, and they give you a nice, and most of these ring lights you can also change the temperature a little bit. You can make them a
Yes.
little bit warmer, a little bit cooler, depending on your specific situation. So I'm looking forward, Patrick, to our next session next week or in 2 weeks, to see how you are coming across now on your camera. This is going to be fun. So another trick that you can use, and if you're using your personal mobile phone as a camera, this trick may not work. But if you're using your regular laptop camera or an external webcam and you have your mobile phone available, your mobile phone has a flashlight. And if you are in a bind somewhere, like, yeah, if you're just traveling somewhere and you're in a hotel that only has like the ceiling lights and you have nothing coming to your face, well, pull out your smartphone, switch on the flashlight, and you can even just put it in front of you and you'll get a little bit light in your face. So yeah, there are
Yeah.
so many solutions. I know some people that work with about 14 lights around them. I personally, I'm totally the minimalist. So I have one light on top of me. This is just built into the ceiling, and I am still working on it because, as you see with my thinning hair, there is this little spot here that it reflects a little bit, but it's okay-ish. It can always be better, of course, but I have that one light in front of me, and that I need to have it at a certain brightness because that's also lighting the green screen behind me. And if you do use a green screen, the key is to have your green screen lit by a different light source than your face. So I do have this one light up on top of me, and then I have two regular desk lamps. They clamp onto my desk. I screw them onto my desk. And again, with the LED bulbs that give me the whole spectrum of colors and temperature, I can go in any which way I want easily from my mobile phone. So yes, this is tip number 3. We promised you basically for today 3 different tips, and I just want to very, very quickly summarize them. Let me move to a different scene. So our 3 tips for the day today, and we could probably spend another hour just talking about each one of those. But tip number 1, of course, your microphone. your sound. It is annoying if you don't sound well. It really is annoying to the other side. And the real tricky part with the sound is it's the most difficult one to set up and test yourself because you don't hear it in the same way. I hear myself right now. I have no idea how I'm coming out on the other side. So to adjust your microphone, either needs a good friend on the other side that can help you doing small little fine adjustments, or just dial into a Zoom call by yourself, hit the record button, and then make small little adjustments to your microphone until you get it to the point where it sounds even and pleasant and might even pick up a little bit more resonance in your voice. Tip number 2, Nathan, you want to take that one?
Sure thing. It's all about the camera. Just get that camera up where you can look straight into it. And the one thing that I didn't mention back then that I'd really like you to take away from this session today is, in the live world, when you're in a room, when you want to make eye contact with people, you can only do it one at a time, right? One person at a time if you make eye contact. In the virtual world, you can make eye contact with every single person at the same time. And if you want my personal number one tip, unrelated to technology, to captivate your audience and really up your on-presence camera experience for your audiences, is you need to look into the camera when you're speaking. You must look at the lens. If you're not looking at the lens, like I'm looking at the lens right now, your audience will think you're looking at someone or something else, like this. If I'm looking over here, which is what most people do when they're talking to people, this is how you communicate. How do you think your audience is going to connect with you when you're talking to them like this? In TV land, you look straight into the camera when you talk to the home audience. Everyone at home thinks you're looking straight at them. And I can tell you, after hours and hours of looking into my camera, you just get used to it. Leave all the excuses. Oh my God, I can't tell what people are doing. You know what? It doesn't matter. Just give it everything you have and look into that camera. And I guarantee you, your audience will be more engaged for whatever number of minutes or hours you're connected with them. Okay.
Very good, very good. And we both know this because sometimes we have to talk for 30 minutes or 1 hour at a time. And that's so much more important than to really, really engage the audience. Frank left a comment here, and since he left the comments, I just made a little bit adjustments because today I'm actually using and controlling Nathan's camera with my setup here. So Frank said that my color looks a little bit more saturated than Nathan's, and if there is anything different with the light. Yes, of course, there is quite a lot of difference here. On one side, I'm using a very, very warm light onto my face, number one. Number two, I live perhaps in a sunnier environment or something, so it might be the actual the skin in itself, the skin tone. But I just added a little bit saturation to Nathan, and you may have seen this. So this is how Nathan looked before. And I'm gonna pull us in a little bit closer again. But this is how Nathan looked before Frank made the comment. And I can just increase the saturation a little bit. So I can give him a little bit, or I can go all the way to the top, and now it doesn't look good anymore at all. But I can give him a little bit more color. I can work a little bit with the gamma. So this is something that sometimes you don't even need to search for the solution in your camera or on the hardware side and say, how can I make this better? Do I need different lights now? Or I'm coming across too cold. I want to have a little bit warmer. Just, use whatever software that you're using and we definitely don't have enough time, and this is not the scope of this current uh, live stream here. But of course, there are some tremendous solutions like what I'm using right now. 5 years ago, I probably would have had to hire a professional producer to do what we are doing right now with changing all these scenes and so on. And today it's just a push of the button on my side, set it up all in advance, and we are rolling with these things. So
Well,
that, yeah.
go ahead. We'll go on to the third one.
No. We still have some
Yep.
time.
That was about all I was going to say about the camera, unless there's something else you want me to touch on. But just get that camera up so you can look straight into it, move it around so that you can look at what's on the screen. And actually, Claudio mentioned to me something I often forget just yesterday, and that is if you have a one-on-one or a one-on-two call, you can just drag the Zoom window or the Teams window up and place it as close to the camera as possible to give you an unfair advantage of kind of using your peripheral vision to see, are they smiling, are they laughing, is the camera even on? Remember, your peripheral vision is very powerful when it comes to noting what's going on around you in a studio like I'm working in, or when you're looking at your camera. So develop that peripheral vision, and you'll see that I can tell that Claudio's going like this, but I'm not looking directly at him. And he just went like that again because my peripheral vision is feeding me all that data. Yeah, I can't, but you'll get used to it. It's a good habit.
Indeed. And for anybody that really struggles with eye contact, yeah, this is the ticket. Get the screen. If you're in a Zoom meeting, get that Zoom meeting as close to your camera as possible. If you're using the built-in camera that's on top, move the Zoom window to the top of your screen. If you're using an iPhone that's maybe on the left side of your screen, then move your Zoom window to the left side of the screen, and it will make a big, big difference. All right. And then the last one is, of course, light. Just as a summary again, light, it is very, very important, and you can do so much with light, but you don't need to set up or create a studio with half a dozen of lights around you. Sometimes a really, really good ring light for $20, $25, $30 will do the trick. And I also appreciated your comment about the glasses, because this is a challenge that so many people do have when you wear glasses. And the first step, of course, is get glasses that are non-reflective, that have a non-reflective coating on it. And of course, angle the lights in a way that they don't hit your glasses at a 90-degree angle, because that is what gives you that the reflection in the lights. This, by the way, is also the reason why, especially with the older cameras, when you went out and you shot photos at night with the built-in flash and you get the red eye. This is the reason, because the light hits your eye in such a way that it immediately reflects out of it again. And if you put an external flash on top of your camera, then you're changing the angle slightly and red eye is gone. So very, very important. The position of your light is as important as the actual light that you are using.
We forgot one thing about lighting, Claudio, and that is natural light. So if you have a natural light coming in from a window that you're in nearby, try to keep that window in front of you versus behind you, because that amount of light typically freaks out most webcams. So natural light can work, and I often use natural lighting here. I have the blackout curtains shut today, so I have constant lighting for the entire time we speak. If I left those open this morning, the sunshine would start creeping in and change the reaction of what I'm doing behind me. So I minimize that with just blackout curtains.
Indeed. So Nathan and I, we have spent the last 2 years now fine-tuning, honing to no end. And I believe we are both at the level now where we have spent hundreds of hours. I know for my side, I have probably over the last 2 years spent more than 500 hours researching, learning best practices, and really, really up my own game. And I believe that our role as coaches, but in some sense as human beings, is to be a conduit, to be able to take input from all kinds of different sources and then help others without them having to go through all those 500 hours and do the same thing. So Nathan and I, we came up with a new coaching program that we are calling Mastering Your On-Camera Presence. Mastering Your On-Camera Presence. Nathan, do you want to talk a little bit about this? It's a 4-week program. What can people expect in week 1, in week 2, 3, and 4?
Yep. So this is a program that we put together because we really believe that it doesn't have to be painful for you to make yourself show up better on camera. So we've got a 4-week program ahead of us here for you. Week 1 will be all about making sure that you're set up like we talked about today with your sound, camera, and lighting and background. We'll get that all set up and give you some homework to work on so that in week 2, and by the way, each of these sessions are 2 hours. So you get a total of 8 hours of coaching one-on-one with us. Both Claudio and I will be doing a co-coaching effort on this. So week 2, you want to flip over? Week 2 is going to be more about your delivery, and the biggest complaints that I get from people is, I don't even know if my audience is engaged. Their cameras are off. How do I even know if they're there? Well, we're going to spend the whole time talking about multiple ways that you can not only encourage people to turn on their cameras, but they'll want to turn on their cameras and they'll want to participate. It doesn't have to be such a stressful situation for people out there. In week 3, again, more about how you can engage with your audience, and we'll pull everything together here so that when you come to week 3, you'll have kind of like your whole shtick all put together. Your kit will all be working properly, and you'll be able to take advantage of technology to engage your audience. And then week 4, as it says there right on the screen, we're going to put it all together and make sure that we maximize how you feel about your on-camera presence, because it has nothing to do with how I shouldn't say it doesn't have anything to do with how we feel about you. It certainly does. But the most important thing that we personally guarantee you is, starting with week 1, or maybe just with this live session, you will feel more confident when you show up on camera. And I'm here to tell you that no matter how many months or years the pandemic continues to keep us in front of our cameras at home, when we get back into the world and we start traveling all over again, we are going to be in a hybrid world. Most places where you present, where you speak, or you're listening to people, they're going to have a camera in the room, because we've all realized the value of what we can do with a camera. And so get used to your cameras, folks. They are not going away when the pandemic goes away. And we invite you to sign up for this 4 weeks. We personally guarantee you by the end of that 4 weeks, you will be a different person, and we will save you hundreds and hundreds of hours of effort. Promise.
Absolutely, absolutely. So mastering your on-camera presence, it's coming up. We are going to give you a very, very special deal on this. It's 50% off for anybody who's watching this video, either whether you are here live today or you are watching it in the next few days. Use the promo code VIP Live, and you can find the event at presenterzone.com/MYOP, Mastering Your Online Presence. And I am definitely looking forward to making this a tremendously cool experience for everybody that will join us. And I think at the 50% discount, it's probably your best spent money for getting up to speed and leveling up the playing field. So, okay, 50% off what? What is the regular price, Nathan, of the program? Is
We have the program for 4 weeks, 8 hours plus follow up. We have it set at $995. We guarantee satisfaction. That'll be 50% off of that. And in addition to the money that you spend to join us, we will also be having post work and post things that you will be able to get more value from. We're not big believers in just having a one big thing and then off you go on your own. We've created a private LinkedIn group so that everyone and only the people that attend our Mastering Your Online Presence will be invited to join that group, where you'll be able to have continued interactions live and or asynchronously with us and the other people in that. We do plan to charge $495 for a membership to that, and you will get that for a year, maybe even longer. We haven't quite decided, at no charge. And in addition to that, we will also give you a copy of my book called Harness Your Speaking Anxiety, a copy of Claudio's book called The Founder. Sorry, I'm blowing my friend. The Founder's Guide to Presenting, and we'll also give you a free copy of a book Claudio and I wrote together many, many years ago called Giving Memorable Product Demos. We would like to invite all of you, and please feel free to well, I guess we could even share this with people at this point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Nathan. And we are right on the hour mark here. Thank you, everybody who tuned in live to this, and anybody who is watching the replay and makes it through the whole hour. Once you see that discount code there, head over to the website. Again, it's presenterzone.com/MYOP. That redirects you directly to Eventbrite, where you can purchase the ticket, and we shall see each other perhaps on the first day of Mastering Your Online Presence. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Nathan, for spending your valuable time here with me today to help people up at least 3 areas of their online presence: sound, sight, and sight. Again, with the light. Thank you, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you on camera. Bye.
Yes. Bye.